How's it going, guys? My name is MrHurriicane, and today I'm once again talking about Madden 16. Yesterday I made a video talking about the new mode coming to Madden called Draft Champions. I have a link to that video in the description below if you want to check that one out. But today, I'm focusing on gameplay. EA Sports has released more information regarding the gameplay changes and improvements for Madden 16. I'm once again going through one of their articles and giving you guys the highlights and then my takes. If you would like to follow along, the link to this article is in the description below. One more thing before we get started, if you have not already, you can hit that subscribe button and you'll stay up to date on Madden 16 news as it is released. And I have some more things to talk about after this video, but I'll spend today talking about this first gameplay article from EA Sports. If any more news is released about the game, I'll be talking about it here. And of course playing the game when it comes out. So subscribe if you haven't, but let's jump into this news. Now the term they're using is air supremacy because the main focus this year as far as gameplay goes is in the passing game. And if it were up to me, this would have been the direction I would have gone, seeing as how a lot of things needed to be improved as they hadn't been improved for a long time. And that includes wide receiver and defensive back interaction, which is right where this article takes off. And so they talk about this air supremacy as their kind of term for the new changes, revolutionizing passing and catching on both sides of the ball with new user and AI mechanics. There is also a new multiplayer catch interaction system with more than 400 new two-player catch animations with a wide variety of outcomes. This to me was the #1 thing that had to be in Madden 16, and it appears that they've addressed it. We'll see how good it is once we get our hands on gameplay. But for a very long time, I've wanted receivers to matter more. I think they've mattered more as the years have gone on, but I want there to be a major difference between the possession receivers, the high-pointing receivers, or the smaller receivers that aren't very good in traffic. And I'm hoping that this new multiplayer catch system allows the differences in receivers to really shine through. And that way, the bigger receivers with the physical advantages can be used in the correct ways. And I'll come back to this later as they have more information about the catching and the receivers and how they interact with the defensive backs. Next article, or next part of the article, talks about a new handoff system. I wasn't expecting this, but they talk about how air supremacy starts with the quarterback. And so they have a new handoff system that includes a large variety of new content and much tighter timing between handoff and blocking. Each play type has a uniquely captured handoff specifically designed for the given play. The article says that this has resulted in hundreds of animations, and so I want to see how it looks, obviously, when we get our hands on gameplay. I want to see how noticeable this really is. This system also includes all new fake handoffs for the play-action game, which ties in perfectly for the shot plays. Obviously, shot plays are deep shots down the field. We'll come back to that later on. Continuing with the quarterbacks, we have quarterback locomotion. So the team completely reworked quarterback pocket, scramble, and rollout locomotion. Simply tap the right trigger or R2 button in the quarterback's drop back or when standing in the pocket. This allows players to roll to pass and includes a completely reworked back shoulder rollout. These new mechanics work brilliantly with our boot and rollout plays. Again, I want to see this in action, but I like the sound of it. If you have a middle linebacker coming through clean up the middle on a blitz, this could be a very effective way to evade and still have a chance to get a decent throw off. And the rollout plays, I've wanted more dynamic ability to roll out because you have the play action rollouts and you have a couple plays. I know I use one of my Panthers playbook where the animation of the drop back is actually a rollout, but it seems now you have control over that, which you can obviously look at different plays, whether your quarterback's left or right-handed, and figure out what type of plays should be rollout plays for you. Going back to the article, one of the big benefits of rollout is that players don't suffer the same accuracy penalties as throw on the run, which is an attribute for every quarterback. The team also reworked Scramble to be more responsive and allows players to toggle between pocket, rollout, or scramble locomotion at the touch of a button. You can also branch out of any dropback by instantly tapping the left trigger button after the snap. Finally, we made it a priority to ensure that all new quarterback loco mechanics are utilized by the CPU AI. Expect quarterbacks like Marcus Mariota and Cam Newton to offer a substantial threat on the ground this year. It sounds like we're going to have some cool new things to do as the quarterback when we're controlling them, but I want to see how the CPU utilizes these abilities and if they do them correctly in the right situations, because I think CPU AI and how they play has a long way to go from where it was last year and obviously prior. So I'm hoping Madden 16 is a big jump. The next section is all about quarterback AI, and they say they've spent several years developing a new AI architecture called Behavior Coordinator. Once again this year they're trying to differentiate the CPU quarterbacks, and they tried that last year mainly with accuracy, but not the way they actually play. Accuracy did seem to be a little bit different if you had a lesser rated quarterback versus a high rated quarterback, but this is where I think if they have addressed these issues properly, this could really differentiate how they play. Because you have guys like Tom Brady who are pocket passers and like the short throws, and then you have guys who like to throw the ball deep down the field and take more risks. The article says that the AI not only helps deliver the most challenging CPU quarterbacks to date, but also creates a clear distinction between different types of quarterbacks. The game you get from Tom Brady, who is a pocket passer, is dramatically different than the behavior you will see from dual threats like Marcus Mariota or Cam Newton. Each style of quarterback will now react to situations differently based on their traits. And I'm hoping that means that some quarterbacks take more risks, some quarterbacks maybe make more mistakes late in the game. I want to see quarterbacks have some personality, and hopefully this does accomplish that. This new quarterback AI also represents improvements to Robo QB, dink and dunk offense, pressure awareness, play calling, and situational game management. The two that stand out here to me are play calling and situational game management. I'm really hoping that this does create a big difference in how the CPU quarterbacks play late in the game. If a quarterback has a high medium accuracy, then perhaps they call more comeback routes at the sidelines, or maybe they call different routes based on accuracy. I'm not sure how it's going to work. I have ideas for how I think it should is all. Now, last year, the dink and dunk offense and pressure awareness were a big problem. There was a lot of checkdowns, and I had to tweak a lot of sliders this year to get the game that I wanted. Pressure awareness was a huge issue as quarterbacks took too many sacks, but I really want to see this year, will quarterbacks, when they do decide to take off, will they always run to the right and into the right tackle? They need to start finding the open lanes and not just picking the same route every time to run when they do feel pressure. I'm hoping that the quarterbacks play a lot less robotic this year. I have high expectations for these new AI improvements if they have focused on them so much. Plenty more to go in the passing game, by the way. We have new passing mechanics. One of the big additions to Madden NFL 16 is the body relative throw, which allows players to throw a high jump ball like on a fade or streak route, or a low throw where only the receiver can make a play on the ball. I get in a lot of trouble when I play Madden because I try to do this even though the game doesn't really allow you in Madden 15 and prior, obviously. I try to throw high to my receivers in my franchise because I have Kelvin Benjamin and Lance Adams, a guy who's 6'4" and a guy who's 6'5". I want to use their big bodies more, but it's hard to when the game doesn't always play the way that I think it should on those types of throws. Now, the low throws are obviously going to be very nice to shield off defenders. I kind of do that now a little bit. We have also reworked the new touch pass. Now you double tap the receiver icon for easier execution of dropping the ball behind linebackers and in front of safeties. I think the main reason they changed the way you control it is because before it was tap to lob, hold for a bullet pass, and somewhere in between for a touch pass. So the double tap is just a little bit easier. Sometimes, even though I play the game a lot, I don't like throwing touch passes because I'm not sure if I'm holding the button long enough and I don't want to screw it up. And so hopefully now it's easier, and I'm hoping these body relative throws really work well, especially with those big receivers who can jump up. It's been a major pain over these years to throw a ball deep to a large receiver and have the defensive back jump up and make a play when the receiver just kind of stares at him and waits for the ball to come to him. So I want the receivers to attack the football. It's been a major gripe of mine for a long time. Moving on, we have the new catching mechanic, and they call it the most revolutionary addition this year. And so this catching system, it ought to be good if it's the most revolutionary thing that they want to talk about. Previously, players had just one option, the Y or triangle button, to catch the ball, and that's if your user catching and controlling the receiver. The major change is that now you have 3 different catch types to choose from. The mechanics work by holding the catch button as soon as the quarterback makes the pass. You no longer need to hit B, as catch control is now automatic on the intended receiver. This means that as soon as that ball is thrown, the game knows that. You don't have to control that receiver. You just choose what type of catch you want them to go for. And I personally think this can make playing as a receiver in like the single player mode or the career mode, playing as one player, it could make playing as a receiver quite a bit of fun, and I might want to look into checking that out. On the same note, if these improvements are all as good as I'm hoping they are, it could make playing as a defensive back also a lot more fun. So back to these new catching mechanics, we have the first one, which is titled the rack catch, rack standing for run after catch. You can perform this catch by holding the X or square button once the pass is released. Racks have a higher drop in knockout chance and are susceptible to interceptions when the pass is thrown into traffic. And so obviously if the pass is thrown into traffic, you don't want the rack catch anyway, because you want the possession catch, which is actually a little bit further down in the article, but that's where the receiver obviously protects the ball with his body and secures it at the expense of yards after the catch. So obviously, once you're in traffic or defenders nearby, you just want to make a safe play, catch the pass, get down, and back in the huddle. What's nice about these possession catches is that you can use it to force the receiver to perform get the feet down catches near the sideline or back of the end zone. That's an element of control that you definitely want with having the ability to choose how you're going to catch the pass. So you perform this catch, the possession catch, by holding the A or X button once the pass is thrown. They are most effective with the low throw mechanic and when thrown to slot or possession trait receivers. They come at the expense of, obviously, yards after the catch, as receivers frequently go down immediately after the catch. This is something else I've wanted for a long time. Plenty of times during a football game, a pass is low and a receiver has no choice but to go to the ground to make the catch, and we don't see that often enough in Madden. So we go back up, we have the aggressive catches, which are obviously going to be your more flashy and high-pointing catches, as it drives the receiver back to the ball to go up and catch it at the highest point possible. That's very important because in the past, receivers haven't attacked the ball. They wait for the ball to come to them, which means they don't high-point it unless they're already in the right position, but hopefully the aggressive catches eliminate that issue. Obviously, the high throws are the best way to use this type of catch, and with the right receivers like Dez Bryant or Calvin Johnson. Continuing on with wide receivers, we have new wide receiver AI traits. Each wide receiver has a new series of traits that determine which types of catches they look for when under AI control. This to me is pretty important, as I've been looking more at player traits in addition to attributes in my franchise, for instance. You have some guys who have the trait for fighting for extra yards, some guys drop open passes, some guys are clutch, and so it looks like you can look at a player's traits and see what types of catches they go for. We now go back to what I talked about at the beginning of this video, the multiplayer catch system. So obviously, defensive back and a receiver, both fighting for the football. How's it gonna work? The multiplayer catch system is based on technology in development for more than 2 years, and allows receivers and defenders to go up for a catch simultaneously and battle for the ball in the air while using ratings, mechanics, and positioning to deliver the appropriate outcome. The team added more than 400 new multiplayer catch outcomes, which includes knockouts, tip balls, simultaneous possession catches. I hope we don't see too many of those, especially with replacement refs. Also, offensive and defensive PI, interceptions, and more. Obviously, pass interference is a huge part of football now. It just is. It's how the rules work. And whether you like penalties or not, because it's realistic, I believe it should be in Madden. I'm hoping for a good amount of pass interference penalties, not too much obviously, and I hope that they do differentiate who is doing the penalty, and maybe lower rated players with less awareness are more susceptible to penalties. I'm not sure how it's going to work. I, once again, just have cool ideas, I think. Speaking about penalties, they have another article on here talking about penalties. I'll be talking about that one once I go through the article, maybe later today or tomorrow. Going back to this article, The system also accounts for double coverage situations. We have spent countless hours tuning and balancing the system extensively to ensure players cannot exploit the system. I'm hoping double coverage is improved this year, but they haven't talked about it until this point. In the past, if you double cover a receiver, the defensive backs just pretty much play that receiver individually. It's like they're not working together, and that's what needs to happen in double coverage. Your positioning matters. You don't want to just be both basically lined up over the top of them. You want to work together. I guess we'll have to wait and see if that's been addressed. Moving on, we have another very important feature I've been waiting for: additional receiver and defensive back interactions. The article says they've added hundreds of new defender and receiver interaction animations, including new press interactions, zone chuck interactions, and hand fighting during route running. We'll see if any of that leads to penalties of any sort. This includes a complete overhaul to our defensive pre-play alignment system, as defenders now align to the inside or outside of the receiver based on the coverage and where they want to force them. We now change topics a little bit. We have playbooks and shot plays. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but basically they've put in a bunch of new plays, all designed for shots down the field. A lot of tight ends blocking, running backs aren't leaking out to the flats. It's just a couple routes going deep down the field as you want to take a chance. You could do this before with hot routing, as the Max Protect hot route was very useful for me last year, but now they have plays that are designed as shot plays, and they're easily able to be found in the playbooks. There are over 100 new shot plays and 600 new plays overall, including team-specific shot plays in each team playbook. Next up, in-game feedback systems. We saw some of this last year with the tackling mechanics they added to the game, and there was more feedback this year with a system designed around passing and catching. The pass feedback tells players if the pass was under pressure, on the run, or off the back foot in order to provide context as to why the pass came out the way it did. Sometimes you're not sure or confused. This way it'll tell you exactly why if you didn't know. This next section here I think is pretty important because I was a little bit confused about how the different catches would work and how you control them, but basically once the pass has been released, the catch UI displays the catch that the AI is looking for. The user can override this choice at any time by tapping or holding down one of the 3 catch buttons. So if you throw a jump ball and the receiver wants to go for a possession catch and you're like, no, go for the aggressive catch, you can do that. Finally, after the catch is made, we will display the type of catch the receiver performed. Additional offensive improvements. We added 2 mechanics to help move through the line as a ball carrier. The first is Get Skinny. To do this, you hold the right bumper while running through the line. They've also added the context-sensitive cut step juke, which is left stick, left to right, performed behind the line of scrimmage to cut off blocks. I'm hoping this does make it easier to control the running back behind the line of scrimmage, but I also want to see how the change of direction, if that's been changed at all, for anybody else. I especially want to see this for the AI because when they go to cut up the sideline, they round it too much in Madden 15 when they should be changing their direction completely and ensuring they stay in bounds. Continuing on, contextual awareness has been revisited with several new animations and much tighter registration with other players. And finally, we have the new extra point rules, and they are in Madden 16. After scoring a touchdown, players can kick the extra point from the 15-yard line or attempt the 2-point conversion from the 2-yard line. The new rules also allow the defense to score 2 points on returns. Penalties are fully supported on these plays, so teams can change their decision if a penalty occurs. And that takes us to the end of this article. Pretty long video today, a lot to talk about, mainly with the passing game. Now that we're done, I will say that I think they've focused on the right areas. The passing game needed a lot of improvement, and they seem to have focused a lot on the type of catches receivers go for, and finally the interaction between defensive backs and wide receivers. I'm hoping for a lot of improvement in the passing game this year, and the way I look at it, if it works the way it should, you can take more chances, it's not so risky, and I think that players will throw less interceptions this year if they're doing things correctly. And especially maybe myself can cut down on interceptions because if I take shots with receivers that can actually go up and make plays, hopefully now I can get some more of those to go my way. I'm also very interested to see how the quarterback AI has improved from last year. Now, this all sounds great, but we won't know how much better Madden 16's gameplay is going to be until we see gameplay. And when we do, I'll give you guys my thoughts, so if you have not already, hit that subscribe button, and please, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. Be sure to comment below your thoughts on today's video and what you think about the gameplay focuses that the developers had for Madden 16 this year. I personally feel they focused on the right areas, although there are more key areas that still have to be addressed. I'm hoping for big things this year as far as gameplay improvements go, and we'll see if our expectations are met with Madden NFL 16. There are a couple more articles. One is about AI improvements and penalties, another about defensive improvements. I'll talk about those in upcoming videos, but that is it for today. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more to come, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.